Welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to build piano and some drums over here. So first of all, let me show you a demo what we are going to build today. So if you like this project, you can continue with the video. So let's start building this. Now let's create a new project. Click on open folder and create a new folder for that. Open it in Visual Studio Code and now add some files here. Okay, we successfully created our project. Now let's start building it. Now let's run this web page in the browser. Go to HTML file and right click on it and click on open with live server. Okay, so a browser will open automatically and I'm going to grab it here and align to right, and that's it. We successfully running our web page in the local server in Google Chrome. Okay, now let's start adding some code in the HTML file. Now first of all, add boilerplate code in the HTML file and add these two files in the HTML document, style.css and script.js file. So in the header, I'm going to add this CSS file. So for the JavaScript file, I'm going to add in the body tag. Okay. Okay, now we successfully added our two files in the HTML document. Now let's start building our UI for the piano project. Now let's start building our UI. I'm going to add a class to the body. And I'm going to add a div tag in the body and class to it. In that div tag, I'm going to add a heading and add a class text to it. Right, I'm going to add a heading piano. Save this file and you can see the result in the browser. Piano is showing here. Okay, so I'm going to add emoji after this heading. So I'm going to grab Command Shift palette from the Visual Studio Code, and you can see you can search here and you can search here in the suggestions also. Okay, so click on this emoji and search for that emoji you want to add here. So I'm going to search music and let's add this piano emoji right after this heading. Grab this and copy here and paste after that piano like this. You can see our emoji has been added here. Let's start another emoji. Open command palette and click on insert emoji and search for music and add drums to it. Okay, save this file and you can see our second emoji has been added also. So after this first div tag, let's add another div tag. Add class to it. Okay, so after that div tag, let's add another div. Add class to it container, and in that div tag, let's add another div tag. I'm going to name it emoji. Okay, and I'm going to add emoji in that div tag also like this. Save this and you can see the result here. Okay, so after that I'm going to add buttons here for our piano. I'm going to add 10 buttons. Okay, so let's add a button tag and give class names to it. I'm adding two classes at the same time. So you can see the button has been showing here. Okay, so copy this button and add to it 10 times right below. And change the text of that buttons. Save this file and see the result here. Okay, button has been added successfully in the browser. So let's copy this div tag and add below after the buttons like this. Okay, so now after that div tag I'm going to add another div, and that div is basically for drums. Paste that div tag here and add buttons to it for the drums here. So our drums is basically 5. I'm going to add 5 drums right after this, 10 piano buttons here. Okay, so button tag and add class to it. Copy this button tag and paste 4 times again. Change the names of the text. Copy this and paste down here. So for the drums I'm going to add this drum emoji. So copy this and paste it here. Also paste it here like this. Save this file and you can see we successfully created our UI and we are done with the HTML file. Now it's time to add styles to our UI. So go to styles.css file and add over all the styles for that UI. Okay, Okay, so now we are done with our styles. Now in the next video I'm going to work on the script.js file for our logic. Before working on script file, I have already downloaded all the music that we need in order to play the music when we press these buttons. Okay, so you can download any music you want to play when the button is pressed. Okay, so I'm going to add a sounds folder right here. Okay, so in that folder I have downloaded it from the internet that we need to play when the button is pressed. Okay, so close this and go to script file and let's start functionality. Now let's create a function for a sum, and this function will get a parameter key, and I'm going to use switch case here. We get a key, and now when the button A is pressed, I'm going to perform some function here. Okay, so when A button is pressed, I'm going to create a variable, and I'm going to add audio built-in function from JavaScript, and add some path of that sound that we want to play when the A button is pressed. Okay, so in the sound folder I'm going to play this one. You can see in the sounds folder I just added this path here. Okay, audio1.mp3. there are some more which we'll add later. Okay, now I'm going to play this with the play function like this, and in the switch case there is a break statement like this. Now copy this and add some 15 times for all the buttons. So I've already added all the piano buttons here and the sounds for that. Okay, so for the drums let's add another case. change the path for the drums button. Now after all the cases, in the switch case there is a default statement which will basically just console.log what the key we have pressed here. Okay, so we successfully created our functionality by pressing these buttons. The sound will be played. Okay, so now after that function I'm going to grab the HTML elements by using query selector. First let me grab all the piano buttons. Dot length function. Now for the drum buttons, grab that length of the drum buttons. So I'm going to use for loop. Let I is equal to 0 and I less than piano button. Grab all the piano buttons and add index to every element here. And index of I, and add event listener to it, and the listener will be click function which takes a callback. Okay, create a variable and whatever the text is added in that button, I'm going to grab that one and store in that variable. So I'm using this keyword dot inner HTML. Okay, so I'm going to call that function sound that we just created above, and this function will actually gets the parameter key, so the key will be button HTML. Okay, so now save this file and let's test our functionality. So when we click this button, the sound should be played. Okay, so let's test this. You can see the sound will be playing at the background when we click this buttons. Congratulations, we successfully completed our first task. Now add another for loop for our drum buttons here. So copy this for loop and paste it down below. So change the variable name that we just created, drum buttons. Okay, change the class name also. Okay, save this and let's test this functionality in the drum buttons. You can listen guys, the sound is playing perfectly. Okay, now I'm going to create a function that will add the class when the button is pressed. Okay, which is basically do some animations when we press any button. So let's create a function for that. I'm going to name it button animation, which takes a parameter, and I'm going to name it current key. Create a variable and name it something like active button, and grab that element by query selector. Now add a class to it. Which we will be creating later in the style.css file. Okay, I'm going to name it pressed. So after that, let's add set timer function, because we want to remove that class after some time. Okay, so set timeout is basically takes a callback and grab that active button and remove that class by using remove function and the name of the class. Okay, now add time to it, let's say 100 milliseconds. Okay, save this file and go to style.css. Now create that class. Save it and let's test this functionality. Okay, nothing is happening. Let me see what is going on here. Okay, so in the for loop, call that function button animation, right? And add the parameter button HTML. And in that, for the drums button, add that, copy this and paste it here. Save this file and let's test this. Nothing is happening here. Okay, so the reason is in the pressed class. Let's add opacity here, and opacity will be 0.5 here. Save this file and let's test this. How cool is that, guys? You can see our class has been added successfully and removed by using set timer function that we defined here. Okay, now let's create a function for the key press here. And the listener will be key press, which takes a callback function and call the sound function here, and the parameter will be event.key, right? So this function is basically takes a parameter like this and call that button animation function as well, dot key like this. Okay, save this and let's test this. So click on this browser, and this time we are not going to click on that button, we are going to press by using keyboard. Okay, so if we press A, S, D, you can see our sound is playing. Let's test for the drums here. You can play that piano by using keyboard or by clicking on it.